Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarita. So glad to have you here today. I have a double Bath & Body Works review for you today of two candles that are actually pretty similar, and they performed similarly too, which is to say quite bad. Spoiler alert. So the two candles are, number one, Cedar and Suede. Looks like this, which I really kind of like, although that clear thing is a little bit tacky. And yeah, can you see that discoloration through there? We'll talk about that. And then the second candle is Fireside, which came out as an online exclusive in the fall with this label, which is really pretty, and then has been re-released for Christmas under like one of those Christmas wallpaper kind of aesthetics. That's not particularly evocative, but it exists and it's readily available in the stores. So let's talk about it. Fireside, well, I mean, maybe we should just go straight to performance. So I've got puny wicks at this point for Fireside, and as you can see, there's a considerable amount of the candle left. I would consider putting it in the crock or in some sort of like melter in order to get some more out of this, but the fragrance is so sooty at this point that I don't really want to. Yeah. And I do think there's a lot of like wood candles that I have personally that I would rather burn. And then this one was even worse. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see all that sooting. Like this wax is like shot. And I kept trying to burn it. Again, puny wicks. I kept trying to burn it, but it just was, and it's even more sooty than the Fireside one. So that's performance. Neither of them had good strength and throw. I would say that Cedar and Suede was giving me a 4 to a 4.5. And I had to keep it in the guest bathroom for the most part. And even in the guest bathroom, with the door closed, it was kind of getting up to a 4.5 or a 5. I don't know if it got to a 5, but it might have gotten close, you know, especially when it wasn't doing the puny wicks thing and it was burning fairly high for several hours in a very enclosed space. I might have gotten it up to a 5, but I think it's more of a 4 or a 4.5. Fireside was similar, but I want to say it was maybe more in the 5 range. Fireside is a 5, I think. I burned this one before Cedar and Suede, so this is like a little bit more prominent in my mind, but I think this was close to a 5. And very early on, it started getting sooty and just not in a good way. And I just couldn't appreciate it at that point. Okay, so that's performance on both of them. I can't recommend either one in terms of the performance. Even if both of them had been burning fairly high, I still think that the most we could ask for a Fireside is a moderate. And by a moderate, I would say that you're lucky if you can get this candle up into the 6 range. 6, I believe, just given the fragrance profile and the way that it was coming across on cold, etc., I do think, unless other iterations in other years perform differently, I think for this iteration, the most you're going to get out of it is a 6. And I suspect that many of you are going to get considerably less than that. This one was less. I would say the most you're going to get out of this one is probably a 5. But then I was watching someone's review who I won't mention their name, and they had it at like an 8. I wanted to be like, wait, did you have a magic candle? Did you have a magic candle? And then this person was like, obviously Bath & Body Works doesn't have any problems with strength and throw. I have issues with other things, blah, blah, blah. And this person is a Kringle brand ambassador, and I know it's shady, but immediately, without even I just thought to myself, you've been burning too many Kringle candles. Because, like recent ones. Because maybe on a Kringle curve, this is an 8, but this is objectively not an 8. The Kringle candles have just been so light recently, and if you're just burning those, I could see where you would think this was very adequate. I do not think it's adequate, and I do not think it is anywhere up to where it's very subpar and substandard for Bath and Body Works. And it's not that Bath and Body Works doesn't have candles that burn this bad. It's not that they don't have candles that are light, but I would say that it's a minority of their catalog, at least at this point. Most of the candles burn in Bath and Body Works in a range of like 5 to 7. I would say 5 to 7 is about where a Bath and Body Works candle is. They have several that push 8, 8.5. Definitely, they do. But I would say that those are the range on the other side of the continuum. Yeah. At any rate, I think this is below average for Bath and Body Works, and this is below average too. And to have those kinds of problems at this point in the candle, it's not good. It's not good even for Bath and Body Works. If you have one of the new Fireside ones with the wraparound, can you tell me how that one's performing? I don't see why it would perform any differently than this, because it's a seasonal pour for them. They're just different labels, but I don't know. Maybe I just got a really bad one. I don't know. All right, so briefly, let's just talk about the fragrances, because they are similar in that they're both kind of woody. And I like wood candles, and I like those more rugged, outdoorsy kind of vibes. And so I really like both of them for those reasons. I like this one a little bit better just in terms of the fragrance. This one has a little bit less to it. So this is smoked cedar, fresh clove bud, warm embers. And this is Fireside. So basically what you're getting is cedar with something smoldering, because you've got the smoked and you've got the warm. And then you have fresh clove buds, so you've got some spice in there as well. For the most part, I think that's what you get. I think that it's a very light clove. Yes, it is there. And yes, you can smell it through the soot. I don't know if I can even get an accurate impression right now. There is clove, but I wouldn't say that it's like piercing or the like top note. Definitely the wood and the smoked charred wood is the main note there, you know? There is something almost a tiny bit, I don't want to say personal fragrance, but you know where it says warm embers? To me, it might be a little bit of warm amber. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some amber in this candle, which goes fine, but I wouldn't say that it's the most, although it has a real authenticity with the wood, I wouldn't say it's the most authentic charred wood fragrance that I've ever smelled. It's a bit more refined and well-rounded, and I think it's because there's amber in this. If you watched my Henry Bendel haul a couple videos ago, Henry Bendel has a candle that is currently on the shelves of very select Bath & Body Works test store locations, and it is called Firewood, I believe. Firewood? Yeah, it's Firewood. So this is Fireside. That one is Firewood. These fragrances are extremely similar. Like when I asked the Bath & Body Works employee in the store to smell them, even he conceded that they smell almost exactly the same. So if for some reason you were curious about Henry Bendel's Fireside or Firewood, and or you were a big fan back in the day, know that this is a very acceptable alternative to that. It's really almost a dupe of it, if not identical. So that's Fireside. Would I purchase it again? Probably not, especially if it's not unusual for it to kind of land in the 5 range. I just think there's a lot of wood candles in the market right now, a lot of really good ones, and I don't want to mess around with a 5. And I hope that this like performance thing is just kind of an idiosyncrasy of this particular pour. And then let's head to Cedar and Suede. And I actually liked this one a little bit better. I think it's a little more dynamic. It has a little bit more to it. It's also a little sweeter. So this one is soft cedar, warm incense, and velvety suede. So it has in common with the Fireside one, the cedar note or the wood note and the warm incense. This one has clove, but again, given the amount of both of those spices, you're getting about the same kind of spice profile from both candles. Velvety suede. Okay, so they're going for something a little bit quote unquote leathered. But the fact that it's like velvety and suede makes me think that they're communicating it's a very light leather touch. And often instead or in lieu of using a true leather note, like Crinkle uses true leather notes. I don't know that Bath and Body Works does that often. But in lieu of that, you could use any kind of vetiver or patchouli and probably pass it off as leather. In this case, I'm not getting a strong leather note per se. Oh, I should have brought with me vanilla birch because actually I was comparing it to vanilla birch because vanilla birch has a very strong like vanilla note. And by the way, this is really, for all intents and purposes, a jazzed up vanilla. And I'm kind of surprised that they don't have vanilla or something marshmallowy listed because it's a very strongly vanilla candle. It's very creamy. And in fact, I would say that that's the strongest aspect of its profile, so much so that it's kind of like a creamy wood, which those things are juxtaposed, but I think and it's a lot of cream, it's a lot of vanilla, maybe even some marshmallow. But then when I smelled vanilla birch, it was obvious to me that vanilla birch went in a much more perfumey personal fragrance direction. I had this conversation when we were talking about the birchwood and birchwood apple, whatever that fragrance is. It's confused my mind because now it's like applewood and clove was the original iteration, and now it's birchwood orchard. That's it. Yeah. When I was talking about birchwood orchard, I said birchwood orchard and vanilla birch were actually quite similar in that they were both like a very nice white wood base over like essentially a personal fragrance, perfumey kind of candle, but I thought done really, really sophisticated and really well. More sophisticated than many of Bath & Body Works' body care kind of candles. This one doesn't have any body care component to it. It's not a gourmand though either, because while it has a great deal of vanilla / marshmallow, it does have a strong component of wood. And when I was comparing it to vanilla birch, I did think to myself, this is actually more austere than vanilla birch because it doesn't have the chaser of that like personal fragrance perfume note. And so I was just really strongly getting the wood and the vanilla. It would be interesting to compare it to Marshmallow Fireside, which I don't have, and I don't even know if I've ever burned. To me, and maybe this is just the latest iterations of Marshmallow Fireside, but they seem a little synthetic. It seems a little artificial to me in a way that this does not. This feels like an acoustic performance of Marshmallow Fireside, if you will. And so I really, really like it for that reason. And if this candle was burning at a 7 or 7.5, I could really highly recommend it because it's really beautiful. Unfortunately, coming in at 4, I was not getting hardly anything and hardly any nuances. And I do have to say this, that upon it being burned, it goes much more strongly vanilla than it does leather or spice or even wood. I mean, it really just strongly seems like a jazzed up vanilla fragrance. Another one that would be interesting to compare this one to is the Palo Santo vanilla, which was quite popular. I didn't love the Palo Santo vanilla because I was comparing it in my mind to true Palo Santo and Palo Santo Sage, which is a very austere fragrance, very herbal, and it's sharp and it's bold. And of course, Palo Santo is even more bold than Palo Santo Sage. Palo Santo Vanilla to me seemed like Palo Santo for vanilla lovers, i.e. it's really more of a vanilla candle with some, austerity to it. So that would be a great one to compare to this one, Palo Santo and Vanilla and Cedar and Suede, because they're very similar fragrances. If you have Palo Santo Vanilla and this one, how did you experience both of them? And does Palo Santo Vanilla go strongly vanilla when it's burned? I think if it performed at 7 or 7.5, I would consider getting it again, even despite the fact that it's more of a vanilla than a rugged candle once it's lit up. But at 4.5 with that kind of performance, are you kidding me? It is absolutely a no. I think this one came out last year. Did it perform better last year? Another thing for you to tell me. I did not encounter it last year. And a lot of people were very happy to see this again, which is to say that it was at least fairly successful last year. I hope that this is just an anomaly, and at another iteration, it's going to burn better, it's going to perform better, it's going to have better strength and throw. Because I think it's a really nice candle, and it's well within what it is that Bath & Body Works does, but I appreciate that it's a little bit more pared down, it's a little bit more of an acoustic performance, it's not trying too hard to be like a body lotion or shower gel or perfume or something like that. So I think it's really nice, but it's got to perform better than that to be successful, even with people like me. So that's what I've got for you. Cedar and Suede, and it has, as you can see, like these little snowflakes here. So this is a like holiday pour, and this should be available at least online, if not in your store. Fireside is also available, but it's in that wraparound. I think it's blue. So if you're interested in Fireside, even just to smell it, check that out. That's what I've got for you. Not very impressive, but both fragrances have potential, especially Cedar and Suede. I'll catch you in the next one.